What happened to Petula Clark?
Sally Clark was born to Doris and Leslie Noah Clark in Ewell, Surrey, England on November 15th, 1932. Her stage name Petula was invented by her father, who joked that it was a combination of the names of his two former girlfriends, Pet and Ula. During the Second World War, she joined other children to record messages with the BBC to be broadcast to members of their families in the forces. She sang in the chapel choir and showed a talent for mimicry. In 1944, she was discovered by Maurice Elvey, who cast her as the precocious orphan waif Irma in his war drama Medal for the General. In 1946, she began her television career with an appearance on a BBC variety show, Cabaret Cartoons, which led to her being signed to host her afternoon series, Petula Clark. In 1947, Clark met Joe Mr. Piano Henderson at the Peter Maurice Publishing Company, and they collaborated musically and were linked romantically over the following 10 years. In 1949, Henderson introduced Clark to Alan A. Freeman, who formed Clark scored several major hits in the UK during the 1950s, including The Little Shoemaker in 1954, Majorca in 1955, Suddenly There's a Valley, also in 1955, and With All My Heart in 1956. Near the end of 1955, Polygon Records was sold to Nixa Records, leading to the establishment of Pi Nixa Records, later simply called Pi. Clark showed a keen interest in encouraging new talent, suggesting that Henderson be allowed to record his music. In 1957, she was invited to appear at the Paris Olympia, where she was received with acclaim. In 1960, she embarked on a concert tour of France and Belgium with Sacha Distel. In 1961, her recording of Sailor became her first #1 hit in the UK, while follow-up recordings such as Romeo and My Friend the Sea landed her in the British top 10 later that year. In France, Ya Ya Twist and Chariot became smash hits in 1962, while German and Italian versions of her English and French recordings charted as well. She was the subject of This Is Your Life in February 1964 and twice more in April 1975 and March 1996, becoming the only person to receive the television tribute 3 times. In 1964, composer/arranger Tony Hatch flew to her home in Paris with new song material he hoped would interest her, but she found none of it appealing. He played her a few chords of an incomplete song that had been inspired by his recent first trip to New York City. Clark told him that if he could write lyrics as good as the melody, she wanted to record the tune as her next single. That song was Downtown. Released in 4 separate languages in late 1964, Downtown was a success in the UK, France, and the Netherlands. Downtown was the first of 15 consecutive top 40 hits Clark achieved in the US, also including I Know a Place, My Love, which was her second #1 hit in the US, A Sign of the Times, I Couldn't Live Without Your Love, This Is My Song from the Chaplin film A Countess from Hong Kong, and Don't Sleep in the Subway. In 2004, her recording of Downtown was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Clark's recording successes led to frequent appearances on American variety programs hosted by Ed Sullivan and Dean Martin. She was also in the Kraft Music Hall and the Hollywood Palace. She also had inclusion on musical specials such as The Best on Record and Rodgers and Hart Today. In 1968, NBC TV invited Clark to host her special in the US, and in doing so, she inadvertently made television history. While singing a duet of On the Path of Glory, an anti-war song that she had composed, she took hold of Harry Belafonte's arm, to the dismay of the Chrysler Corporation. The 1968 Belafonte telecast has been described as the first instance on American television of physical contact between a black man and a white woman. However, there have been many other instances, such as Frankie Lyman dancing with a white girl on Alan Freed's live ABC show The Big Beat, Nancy Sinatra kissing Sammy Davis Jr. on her 1967 Moving with Nancy TV special, and Louis Armstrong shaking hands with What's My Line panelists Dorothy Kilgallen and Arlene Francis in 1953. To commemorate the 40th anniversary of the broadcast, Clark and Wolf appeared at the Paley Center for Media in Manhattan on September 22, 2008. Clark was later the host of two more specials, The Petula Clark Show on both the NBC and CBC networks in early 70s, and one for ABC which served as a pilot for a projected weekly series. She starred in the BBC television series This Is Petula Clark, which aired from mid-1966 to early 1968. Clark revived her film career in the late 1960s, starring in two big musical films. She was nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a motion picture musical or comedy for performance in Finian's Rainbow from 1968. She was also cast with Peter O'Toole in Goodbye Mr. Chips from 1969. Throughout the late 1960s, Clark toured in concerts in the U.S., encouraging new talent and supporting the launch of Herb Alpert and his A&M record label. Richard Carpenter credited her with bringing his sister Karen and him to Alpert's attention when they performed at a premiere party for the 1969 Goodbye Mr. Chips. Clark was one of the backing vocalists on John Lennon's Plastic Ono band Give Peace a Chance. On November 15, 1969, her concert An Evening with Petula from the Royal Albert Hall in London was the first BBC One color transmission. During the early 1970s, Clark had chart singles on both sides of the Atlantic with Melody Man from 1970, The Song of My Life in 1971, I Don't Know How to Love Him from 1972, the wedding song There Is Love in 1972, and Loving Arms in 1974. Clark continued touring during the 1970s, appearing in print and radio ads for the Coca-Cola Corporation, television commercials for Plymouth Automobiles, print and TV spots for Burlington Industries, television and print ads for Chrysler Sunbeam, and print ads for Sanderson Wallpaper in the UK. In the mid-1970s, Clark scaled back her career to devote more time to her family. She performed her hit song Downtown on BBC One's A Jubilee of Music, hosted the television series The Sound of Petula from 1972 to 1974, and made numerous guest appearances on variety, comedy, and game show television programs. In 1980, she made her last film appearance. In 1981, she starred as Maria von Trapp in The Sound of Music in the West End of London and received a Laurence Olivier Award nomination for Best Actress in a Musical. In 1983, she took on the title role in George Bernard Shaw's Candida. In 2004, she repeated her performance of Norma Desmond in a production at the Opera House in Cork, Ireland. In 1998, she was made a CBE by Queen Elizabeth II. In both 1998 and 2002, she toured extensively throughout the UK. In 2000, she presented a self-written one-woman show at the St. Denis Theatre in Montreal. In 2004, she toured Australia and New Zealand, and in November of 2006, Petula Clark was the subject of a BBC4 documentary and appeared with Michael Ball and Tony Hatch in a concert at the Theatre Royal in Drury Lane. In 2007, she released Duets, a compilation featuring Dusty Springfield, Peggy Lee, Dean Martin, Bobby Darin, and the Everly Brothers. She was the host of the March 2007 PBS fundraising special, My Music, and was presented with the 2007 Film and TV Music Award for Best Use of a Song in a Television Program for Downtown in the ABC series Lost. She completed a concert tour of England and Wales in 2008, followed by concerts in Switzerland and the Philippines. Then and Now, a compilation of greatest hits and several new Clark compositions entered the UK albums chart in June 2008. and won Clark her first silver disc for an album. Open Your Heart, a love song collection, a compilation of previously unreleased material and new and remixed recordings, was released in January 2009. 2009, the Lark Street Business Improvement District in Albany, New York, needed a name for its logo/mascot, a graphic image of a blue lark. And they chose the name Petula Lark, in honor of her. In November 2011, at age 78, Clark performed at the Casino de Paris, a Parisian music hall, and introduced 5 new songs. In February 2012, Clark completed her first New York City show since 1975, featuring a parody of Downtown. After the end of her season, she returned to Paris to promote her new album, before flying to Australia for a tour. In January 2013, she released a new album titled Lost in You, which contained new music and some covers. In June 20th, 2015, she appeared with the Midtown Men at the Beacon Theater in New York City, performing Downtown. Clark released a new English-language album From Now On in October 2016, and completed a tour of the UK to promote it. She made a cameo appearance at the 2017 London Heathrow Airport Christmas. And in 2023, she appeared in Stephen Sondheim's Old Friends concert, which aired on the BBC in January 2023. She performed I'm Still Here from Follies. And as of early May 2023, she is still alive and well, and she is 90 years old. She's going to be 91 in November if she's still alive at the end of 2023. And that's what happened to her. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And give me some facts about her that I failed to mention. And name me a favorite song of hers. Thanks for watching. Let me know who I should do next. And I'll see you in the next video.